next news for Pokemon is literally tomorrow, and this video was supposed to come up a while ago, but we kept getting smaller little itty bits of information that made me change this video like 15 times. But hopefully this is the last time that I ever have to change this video, because it honestly needs to come out today before the Pokemon Presents comes out tomorrow. So with that being the case, we're gonna get into a couple predictions, but of course, like with all my other Pokemon Presents predictions, in how most everybody should have their predictions as well, more than likely the first like 10 minutes, 10 maybe even 15 minutes are gonna be just mobile game, side game shenanigans, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, like if they have some cool stuff in Pokemon Unite, that's dope. I heard that there's some rumors going around that we're going to be getting some new mega evolutions and shit in Pokemon Unite, so that's cool. We might get some Pokemon Go news, which people of the Pokemon Go community would be excited for. There's a bunch of things that they could show off there that I wouldn't be necessarily upset about. It's just that for the most part, like the big meat and potatoes that we are expecting is Pokemon Champions, Pokemon Legends ZA, and maybe some Nintendo Switch Online goodies that we might be able to get. So let's go ahead and dive into the predictions that I have for Champions and ZA. So first of all, let's go into ZA, since I feel like Champions is a little bit more like unknown. Like we do know it's going to be there, kind of. For the most part, we know it's a battle simulator, but we don't know exactly what they're going to show. So for ZA, what I wanted to say is that we're more than likely going to see some new mega evolutions. Like it would make the most sense. Like they've waited this long, right? Usually we get something in June. June has passed. We got no E3 this year, no big Nintendo Direct for June at all. So I feel like they have to show some new things for this game that will make people excited. And for me, I feel like characters are good enough, right? I don't necessarily need like brand new Pokemon and all that, but I do think that if they want to get some people excited and get their blood flowing for the new Pokemon game and give them a reason to buy the Switch 2 version instead of the Switch 1 version, you got to give us some new mega evolutions. Show them those new megas in pristine quality, the Switch 2 quality that most people are going to want to play this thing on, rather than the Nintendo Switch version, right? Now, in terms of like what new megas they're going to show, I genuinely don't know. Like I know that there has been rumors and quote unquote leaks, which I don't necessarily believe, because honestly, I feel like we're at a spot in the Pokemon community where niggas just say shit just to say shit. And I am not going to trust anything until I see it from Pokemon Company themselves from now on. There's been too many Riddlers. Like you act like you're a fucking Batman villain, nigga. You are not the Riddler, bro. All right. Like these niggas like, yeah, bro, he's a riddle, guys. He's going to be this Pokemon where it has a teacup shit. I'm like, bro, can you fucking move? Like like that's like the one thing that I hate the most about the community is that niggas will leak shit, but they will do it in a form of a riddle. Like just tell us the information and leave. All right. I think I've said this already on a previous video, but that's genuinely how I feel. Like, if you're gonna try to leak some shit, don't be cute with that shit, bro. Trying to build a following and shit. Be like, oh man, I want to go see Koo's tweets. I want to see Koo's. Like, no, nigga, move, bro. Just fucking show us the shit, please. Anyways, that being said, I understand why they don't want to, because they don't want to get immediately, like have their sources immediately found out. I understand that, but if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, then just don't talk about it. Then, you know. Like you trying to get that clout and clout chasing shit, bro. Like I don't know. Sorry for the weird leaker Riddler rant that I had randomly in the video, but that's why I'm just saying I don't trust any of whatever y'all might have heard about the megas. I am not trusting. Whatever y'all heard about the story, I am also not trusting. I don't trust any of that. But I do think we'll see some older characters in ZA, probably some characters from other regions showing up here, since this is seemingly a future version of what we saw in X and Y. Hopefully we see some characters from, like I said, other regions, maybe Alola, maybe Unova, maybe a character that's going to be prevalent in whatever Generation 10 is, which I also want to talk about that too. A lot of people I saw were like, oh, we're going to get Generation 10 teased here. We're going to get Pokemon Black and White 3 teased here. First of all, Black and White remakes are not going to be coming out until after Generation 10. Like based on what we know from like their pattern that they've had for the last few years for like the release schedule, it will not be before Generation 10. We will not see a Black and White 3 before then. We will see Generation 10 first. And even then, we will not see Generation 10 here. They have so many other opportunities to drop Generation 10 news And the biggest opportunity is on Pokemon Day next year. They need to get this game out first before they start teasing another game. So let's be a little bit more realistic with, you know, some of our expectations. We're not getting another mainline announcement. We're not going to get any starters or anything that people are assuming. And I know you're like, oh, well, how do you know? They could change it up. They could change it up. But as far as we know, they still have 2 games that haven't even released, and we haven't gotten any new news for that shit yet. Why would they go ahead and fuck their own like presentation up and for that game and sales up for that game when they could just show the game that we've been waiting on, you know, instead of some hypothetical game, which I know it's not necessarily a hypothetical because it will come out, but I'm saying hypothetical because we don't even know technically like what it looks like yet. So let's just keep our expectations low. Now, that being said, before we get on to champions again, I want to talk about side games that I am hoping for, because I do think, because I could be super duper like analytical about everything that we might see, and I feel like that's not as fun. So I will say that there could be a chance that we get some new side games that are not necessarily of the regular Pokemon formula, like Champions and ZA are seemingly turning out to be. So there could be a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remake, maybe Explorers of Sky. People have been saying that we should be getting that since Rescue Team got a remake for Rescue Team DX. There could possibly be another Pokemon Ranger game, of course, with the Switch 2s, like mouse controls. I could see them dropping a Switch 2 exclusive side game for Pokemon, but we would have to wait. Once again, I don't think that they would announce a new Pokemon side game this soon. I feel like they would wait like a little bit longer just to like boost up the sales for ZA and Champions whenever that does eventually come out. But the thing is, right, there needs to be more reasons to buy Switch 2, which I know ZA is technically a Switch 2 game, has Switch 2 improvements, but at the end of the day, you could buy it on your base Nintendo Switch. You don't need to get a Switch 2 for it. So I do think that they could very well be working on something small, but something that utilizes a lot of the Switch 2 functionality with like the mouse controls, and drop that specifically for the Switch 2, even if it's like a small mini Pokemon Rangers like side game, mini game thing, or if they want to do something else that requires all the shit that the Switch 2 has, which isn't really that much different from the base Switch, but you know, they could maybe drop something cool for the Switch 2 exclusively, but we'll just have to wait and see. Don't necessarily know. I don't really have any hopes for a side game, but what I am hoping for is some Nintendo Switch Online stuff. We already know that we're going to be getting Coliseum and XD Gales of Darkness for the Nintendo Switch Online service, but what a lot of people have seemingly pointed out is that they are going to be having a DJ at the Pokemon Presents. It's gonna be DJ Pikachu, but when you look at his glasses, he has fire glasses, he has grass glasses, but no water glasses. So what a lot of people are assuming is that we'll be getting Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Game Boy Advance for the Nintendo Switch Online members. Now, I would be fucking ecstatic if we actually got that. I'd be totally fine with that. My only thing is, do we assume that it would be just Fire Red and Leaf Green, or do you think they'll do red, blue, yellow, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then they just announce like they were going to get eventually Emerald, Ruby, Gold, Silver? Because I do think eventually we're going to need every single region and every single Pokemon available on the base Nintendo Switch, so that we could transfer all of our Pokemon to Pokemon Home, and then eventually like just have everything there. Like, not saying that people won't be using their DSs for shit, but I do think that since we already have a Diamond remake, right, with Brilliant Diamond, and we will eventually probably get a Pokemon Black and White remake that will most likely will be faithful. Do not get your hopes up for that game. But if we get those, and then we get this Legends ZA game, which is going to already have every single like Gen 6 Pokemon, we will have generations 1 through 6 natively on the Nintendo Switch without having to, you know, like transfer anything from Pokemon Bank. Now, the only game that we would need realistically is Generation 7 with the remake, which will probably eventually come in the next couple of years. But like I said, with ZA, with generations, like I said, 1 through 5 probably eventually being there sometime soon in the future, and then generation 8 and 9 already being Switch based games anyways, it feels very, very likely that we will end up getting all of the GBA games and being able to play those games natively on a Nintendo Switch and have them be compatible with Nintendo, with Pokemon Home. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that. They might just be like, hey, we see you have saved data with that shit on Nintendo Switch Online, and just transfer it like that, which would be cool. But who knows? We'll have to see. I hope that's the case. I really do hope that's the case, because we haven't really had a lot of like mainline Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch Online app. We've had like Pokemon Puzzle League and Pokemon Stadium and shit. but we haven't had anything that was like a mainline game. And I always thought it was because they wanted to, you know, make remakes like with Let's Go Pikachu and yada yada. We'd get like another Johto games instead of them having, you know, the original games on that console. But I think this might be the time. Like if there's gonna be any time for them to do it, and it's not this year, it'll probably be next year on Pokemon Day for the 30th anniversary. I could definitely see them doing that, being like, all right, 30th anniversary, we get red and blue and yellow and all that shit. But I do think if they wanted to be a little bit nice, do it early, they would do it here. Now, that being said, getting all the other stuff out of the way. Also besides that, we might get Coliseum and Gales of Darkness release date. It might get shadow drops tomorrow. Who knows? We have no clue. But with that being said, last bit of things I want to talk about, which is probably gonna be the biggest topic for this video, is Pokemon Champions. Now, as we all know, it is going to be a battle simulator with seemingly every gimmick in Pokemon history, right? Mega Evolutions, Terrestrialization, those were confirmed. We more than likely will be getting Dynamax and Z moves as well. But as far as we know, that's all we know. We don't really know what it's going to be. So my theory, or like my prediction, is that we will see a full battle. Maybe not a full battle, but we will see like what the models look like updated versions of the models will look better, right? We'll see how it looks like on the phones. So we'll see how it looks like on the phones. We'll see how it looks like on Switch 2. And then we'll also see like all the single player content, because we already know, like as a battle simulator, yes, more than likely it will showcase a lot of 2v2 shit, you know, like a lot of doubles things. But I do think that they're going to eventually have to have single player content in order to make this game feel like you can play it a lot more. Like I do think, depending on how they handle this game, which we'll have to really just theorize on, I feel like they might do like they have two options. They can make this a live service game where it's free for everybody, which would make sense why it's on the phones, and you have to like, you know, buy battle passes to get cosmetics, or you have to like grind up currency to get cosmetics or certain things, or like battle points, etc., which I wouldn't be necessarily upset about as long as the battling part is free and we don't have to pay anything to battle, right? Like this was similar to like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel situation where you can build your deck, you know, and just battle as much as you want or duel as much as you want. But with Pokemon, you just transfer all your Pokemon from home and just do as much as you want, and it's free just to download. But if you want like cosmetic shit, you gotta pay for it. I wouldn't be necessarily too upset at that. I just can't imagine me wanting to play a Pokemon game that has a battle pass in it that's like traditional Pokemon, because that's gonna be like, damn, like what are the missions gonna be looking like? Like, oh, use a fire type Pokemon, or what, miss Focus Blast 5 times and you get a level up. Like, what are we doing, bro? I don't know. Either way, regardless, I do think that we need some single player content. But the thing is, if it's not a free to play game and it is $60, I don't know how they're gonna get niggas that have the phone version to pay $60 for the phone version, because in my eyes, if there's a mobile version for your game, it's more than likely gonna be free. But if it is free, it's microtransactions. But if it's $60 for a battle simulator, you need to be able to put in so much content into that thing that it feels like a full game, because nobody's gonna be paying $60 for a full game. So I do predict that they'll be giving us a price and they'll be giving us a release date. But I also think that if it's paid, they're going to make the phone version free only if you have the Nintendo Switch version paid for. But that's only if it's paid. I genuinely think that it's going to be free. Like that's my big prediction. But if it is like $60, the phone version will be free. But it's like a little trial version. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it. To me, business practice wise, it makes zero sense. But also on the other hand, it kind of makes sense, because like if you want to like build your teams while you're away from your Switch 2, you can just download the app alongside the console shit. But like I said, Pokemon Home is free on console and on phone, mobile devices. So it makes more sense to just make the whole thing free. So expect a lot of Battle Pass shit. Expect them to be like, yes, guys, this is our live service Pokemon game, which I know a lot of niggas are gonna be like, ah, like, but I do think that one thing that Showdown has, or what Showdown does not have, that Pokemon could actually have here is cinematics, right? Pokemon Showdown is strictly a battle simulator, but it gives you like the ease of like being as customizable with your Pokemon as possible. But I think that if Pokemon wanted to separate itself, because they know Showdown exists, like it's like no question to ask, like they know Pokemon Showdown exists, but they want to obviously set themselves apart from that game by making Pokemon Champions more cinematic with like the 3D models and all that. And then of course more than likely having a lot more customization for your characters and maybe even your Pokemon. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe you'll have different throwing styles and shit. Maybe you'll have like different voice lines or something for your character, stances, etc. Who knows? We really don't know. I'm hoping that this is Pokemon like competitive is set on for like the next few years. Genuinely, I feel like as far as I've seen, I heard that like the next competitive set will be like exclusively on Scarlet and Violet again, which means to me, and once Champions drops, they will be shifting over to Champions. This is the longest time that we've been on a singular game, bro. Like I know technically with COVID and all that, we've been Sword and Shield for a long time and all that, right? Especially with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But bro, Scarlet and Violet feels like we've been here since, yeah, damn near 2023, bro. It's 2025. Like it's well, actually no, 2022 is when that shit came out. So 2022, 2025 has been like 3 years. We've been on the same competitive thing. I feel like if we're gonna stay on the same competitive game for years, Champions should be like the game, and they could just mix in like what I want, which I feel like everybody else would want as well, is for Pokemon to have like rotating gimmicks, because I don't think Pokemon needs gimmicks anymore, like or maybe not as many gimmicks. I feel like they could just be like, hey, look, we have all of our main battle gimmicks on Pokemon Champions. We're gonna do a Mega Evolution season, which I think is gonna be our first one. I genuinely think we're gonna be coming back with Mega Evolution with as much as they're like advertising it and pushing that in like the trading card games and Pokemon Unite and literally everything. Mega Evolution is going to be like a big thing. So I do think we're gonna get a Mega Evolution season in the first one. We'll probably go to Gigantamax or Dynamax and shit. And like another one, we might have a season where you get to use all four. You know what I'm saying? Like Z moves, terrestrialization, all that shit in one season, which I think could be really cool. Like imagine a world where Wolfie Glick is using Terra Fairy Incineroar with like a Mega Charizard Y or some shit. I don't even know, or a Primal Groudon. Nigga, I don't know, like some crazy combinations that we will never ever see on a regular Pokemon game. We will more than likely see here. Now, I think that's everything that I have to say right now. I do not want this video going on for too long, but I genuinely think that this is going to be probably not the biggest, but the most hopeful that I have. Like I've been for a Pokemon Presents, because I do think that if Champions is everything that I think it is, that means the future of Pokemon will be like perfect. Like we can move on from the battle system of old and move on into some new shit, you know, that I feel like they've been wanting to move on from for years. So with that being the case, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see y'all niggas tomorrow. Actually, by the time this video goes up, we will be like only a few hours away, like less than 12 hours away from the next Pokemon news. So I'll see y'all niggas tomorrow, I guess, if you're watching it before. Anyways, that being said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.